What's up, Dragon Brood? It's that time of year again. We now have the full set complete, or released. I guess it's been complete, but you know what I'm saying. We know all the cards that are now available in Innistrad Midnight Hunt, so that means it's time to get down to deck building. So as usual, I'm going to try to release 2, if not 3 decks a day, so by the time we get to the release, we have something like 8-9 decks available for y'all that you have some different stuff to play with. And you can kind of just get started, know maybe what cards you want to look for, begin crafting, that sort of thing. So we kind of set everything up for you going into the new standard. So this first deck, since it's Innistrad Midnight Hunt, and we know it's all about werewolves, of course, we had to make our first deck werewolves. No surprise, so we're going to hop right into it and take a look at this new Gruul Werewolf list. Alright, so I wish I could say there was some going to be amazing, innovative choices here, but there's really not. I think after going after all of the werewolf and wolf cards, there were very few others I was considering outside of what actually made the cut here. So starting at the top, we are going to be playing some snowland type things, so we're going to go ahead and play Blizzard Brawl. We didn't want a full 4 just because we are playing some more lands that aren't snowlands. But that's okay. I think our creatures are going to be big enough anyway whenever they flip, to the fact that if we do have to fight something, there's a good chance we just have the opponent's stuff outsized anyway. So not a huge thing to worry about. We're going to also play Lunar Frenzy. This is a card I talked about on my top 13 cards, I believe. And the best part about this is I think people also have to remember that you can use Lunar Frenzy on defense as well. So if you end up playing something on 2 or 3 and you don't feel like comfortable to attack, you can go ahead and play a small creature, leave the mana open, and then make your creature +2 or +3 going into that following turn to pick off something big from your opponent. So it can double sort of as removal / combat trick. So there's a lot of stuff going on here other than also just being a finisher. So yeah, big fan of that. We're playing 3 of those. And then for our 1 mana creature, we were really deciding on what to do in this spot, and it really came down to just 2 cards. You have the 1 mana red pup from like 2 sets ago, and it's fine, but the problem with the pup is though it does have first strike, which is nice, to get it any larger you have to spend 3 mana, 2 colorless and a red, and it only pumps power. It's +2/+0. Whereas here on the Snarling Wolf, you can pay 2 and get +2/+2, so you turn it into the same 3 power, but you get 3 toughness. And you can do this once each turn as well, so you can use it on your opponent's turn as well as on your turn. So the ability overall is actually pretty good on this card. It looks a little weak by comparison, and it kinda is, but at least late game you have option of having a 3/3 creature pretty easily, which is really nice. Then we're going to go with Kessig Naturalist. This is a new card. It's a 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever it attacks, you get a green or red mana. Mana doesn't go away between phases. You have that until end of turn. And then on the backside, you get a 3/3 that does the same thing. So nothing to really be too upset about there. It's probably, I think, in reality, one of the things you're going to run into with this list, I think, is that your 2 and 3 mana slots, so both are going to end up with a lot of cards you're going to want to play. And I think that's going to be the toughest part. You're going to have to learn to figure out where you think the flow of the game is going to decide which card's going to be better. Because as an example, we also have Ranger class in the 2 slot, and then on the far right here you see we have Werewolf Pack Leader. Now, if it looks like it's just going to be kind of a grindy game and it may go a little bit longer, then let me go ahead and play the Werewolf Pack Leader so that I can start setting up to draw cards. Especially if I turn 1 Snarling Wolf, turn 2 Pack Leader. Now the door is open for me to just pump this and attack, and that's actually not too bad. And if for some reason you had Lunar Frenzy, remember Lunar Frenzy, even without anything being spent, you don't have to pay anything for X. The creature still gets first strike and trample. So even if your opponent tried to block something with a 3 power, or 3 toughness, you'd be able to just first strike it down anyway and still keep your creatures. So that opens up some stuff, right? If you have to go the aggressive route. If you don't know how much of removal your opponent has and you don't necessarily want to commit too much, you go ahead and play your Ranger class and then start getting in maybe with whatever you played early, right? And just see what happens. But if we have a sequence of cards where maybe we can play 2 or 3 things, or maybe get ahead where we can go from 2 mana to 4 mana the next turn, then maybe we consider playing the Naturalist, right? There's gonna be a lot of flow to the game and your hand and everything else that's gonna really determine which of these cards you want to play. There's a lot of choices there in the 2 slot that are gonna affect the rest of your game each time you play. So something to think about. There's gonna be a lot of different choices there, but I think that's a good thing. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I think it's just that's where the strategy of playing the werewolf deck is going to come in. Also, if it's day or night, that also is going to matter as well. If it's flipped to night, you're going to have a whole different set of choices than you're going to have if it's set to day. Because you also have to figure out what's the likelihood of my opponent playing 2 spells or playing no spells or whatever, and it flipping to day or night and changing my decision. So there's going to be a lot of decision trees here. There's a lot happening with this deck. But I think that's good. Obviously, you can see here we have 2 Shatter Skull Smashing. These double as lands, but also removal if we need it for Planeswalker or creatures. Down here, just above my lovely head, you can see we have the Primal Adversary. That is a 4/3 trample creature for 3. And then you can pay a couple mana for each trigger when it comes into play. And then each of those triggers turns a land into a 3/3 creature. 3/3 wolf, actually, I should be specific, because that doesn't matter, because you have things that care about wolves. So that's a pretty quality card all on its own. Even if you just play it as a 4/3, you don't really care. Like, that's going to be good enough. It's just late game, you get some value, and it's a really good top deck, so you want to go ahead and play a full set of those. Then we have the Reckless Stormseeker. It's kind of weird that it's a Stormseeker and it's a werewolf or whatever, but I mean, I guess you needed some excuse to have a red werewolf. But it's a 2/3, becomes a 3/4. You get at the beginning of combat each turn, you give a creature +1/+0 and haste. Backside gives it +2/+0 and haste. I'm actually good with this. I think this is a card. It looks a little underpowered because you're playing 3 mana for a 2/3, but actually you're paying 3 mana. It comes into play. It doesn't say another target creature, it just says target creature. So you can target itself and attack with a 3/3 the turn you play it. So effectively, this is a 3/3 with haste the turn you play it. Then after that, anything else you play gets haste, and you can kind of keep the pressure up. So if you're going heavy aggro, this is the way you want to go for sure. Also consider this. You can play the Werewolf Pack Leader on 2, and then play the Stormseeker on 3, and attack with 6 power worth of stuff. So where your opponent may be looking at it and going, okay, well, I'll let you attack. You're not going to get a card or anything. I'll just play my Duder. Well, then you go ahead and play yours. You attack. Now your opponent's kind of in a rough situation because they don't want to keep giving you cards every turn. But, do they block or not? So it really changes some things. It's actually a really, really good card in here. Now, this is a little tough here because I'm playing 3 Tovolar. And Tovolar is basically whenever your creatures deal damage, you get to draw a card. That's the big news on it. But I didn't want to play 4. I thought about it, and the reality is with Tovolar, because it's legendary, I didn't want to play 4, and the fact that we're playing Ranger class means we are already going to be getting options of extra cards, which isn't bad. I mean, having multiple things give you more cards is always good, but I didn't want to get caught with them in my hand or not being able to cast them off the top of the library or whatever. So we're going to be drawing cards, hopefully, with the Pack Leader. Like, there's a lot going on with this Werewolf deck. I mean, credit to R&D, because the previous versions of Werewolves felt like it was kind of one-dimensional. It was just do all the damage, try to trample over, do your thing, right? Now we have one where we're able to make some mana, we're able to draw some cards, we have some neat combat tricks, right? There's a lot going on here, but we decided to just play 3 Tovolar. And then we played 2 Arlen Pax Hope. I could see where you might want 3 in this list, honestly. I think Arlen's very good, but I decided to just go with 2. I think because I'm going to be spending my mana and doing a bunch of other things, I might be able to be more aggressive. And I think I could change my tune depending on how well the whole Daybound, Nightbound works out. I think that could affect it, depending on how I end up using Arlen in this deck. So that's another thing to keep an eye on, being able to manage that to have day or night as we want. But regardless, Arlen's very good. We're playing 2, not a surprise. Then I'm playing 1 Tovolar's Huntmaster. Partly because I just wanted to see what this is all about, man. Being able to play such a big creature, being able to get three creatures when you play it, because it comes into play and then it makes two. And then the backside when it attacks also makes creatures. So I was like, yeah, let's play one. This is an amazing late game top deck card. It is fantastic. Zero reason to at least not try one. So we're going to go ahead and toss one in here. And then just a bunch of lands. So we're playing 4 Crycrown Pathways, 4 of the new Rockfall Vale, and then the rest are snow-covered forest and mountains. So nothing too surprising there. But overall, I think this is going to be a very fun deck. I think it's actually going to be a more difficult deck than it looks like to play. Not because I think of the particular, like, I think it's going to be mostly the sequencing of the cards. It's going to be difficult. You're going to have to understand, how do I maximize my hand? And am I reading the texture of the board in my opponent's hand so I can make the right play that gives me the most value over the next 3, 4, 5 turns? I think that's going to be where the struggle is for people with this deck. But otherwise, I think people are going to have a blast with it. Downside is, it does require some rares. Good news is, Werewolf Pack Leader was already from previous sets. Ranger Class was already from previous sets. Shatterskull Smashings from previous sets. The downside is you have to pick up Primal Adversary, Tovolar, Arlen, and the Tovolar's Huntmaster, and some lands. But the lands I don't really care about, because the lands you're going to need them for other decks anyway. But yeah, if there's other werewolves you were considering playing, let me know. But this is actually pretty cool. I'm looking forward to playing this one. Yeah, like I said, if there's other werewolves you were considering playing, let me know down in the comments below. Do you like the list? Do you hate the list? Is there a strategy you didn't consider that we got to talk about? I'm kind of curious where people are at right now on werewolves. Also, if you want to discuss this further, check out the links in the description and come by and hit us up in the Discord. We're probably going to be talking about all types of decks leading into the new set. So, good way to be part of the discussion and get some questions answered if you have any curiosities. And please don't forget, whether you're watching my channel or somebody else's, like, subscribe, support, share, do all that wonderful stuff, because that's how you help your favorite content creators grow. But that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.